The notary's pen hovered over the document, and I watched my mother's hand tremble as she reached for it. Not with guilt, with excitement. "Catherine, honey, you understand this is what's best for everyone, right?" Mum's voice had that sugary coating she used when she wanted something. "Chelsea needs this more than you do. She's got the twins to think about, and you, well, you've always been so independent." I sat perfectly still in the leather chair, my hands folded in my lap, and watched my inheritance, $847,000 from my grandmother's estate, get signed over to my stepsister. The stepsister who'd walked into our lives 6 years ago when she was 24 and I was 22. The stepsister who is now 30, married to a corporate lawyer, and apparently in desperate need of my dead grandmother's money. Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. He just kept adjusting his glasses, that nervous tic he'd had since I was a kid. I smiled. Actually, smiled. "Of course, Mum. Whatever Chelsea needs." The notary, a woman named Mrs. Chen who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else, stamped the document. It was done. My inheritance, gone. Transferred to Chelsea Morrison, niece Stevens, my stepsister of 6 years who'd spent exactly 45 minutes total with my grandmother before she died. I stood up, smoothed my skirt, and hugged my mother. She seemed surprised, but relieved. "You're such a good sister," she whispered. I wasn't. I was a patient one. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Catherine Chen. I kept my mother's maiden name after the divorce because, honestly, Catherine Morrison sounded like a romance novelist's pseudonym. I'm 28 years old. I work as a financial analyst for a mid-sized consulting firm, and I live in a 600 square foot apartment in Seattle that costs $2,100 a month. My apartment is so small, I have to go outside to change my mind. But it's mine, and I've worked for everything in it. My grandmother, Helen Chen, died 18 months ago at the age of 89. She was sharp until the end, did the New York Times crossword every morning, remembered everyone's birthdays, and ran her investment portfolio like a hedge fund manager. She'd been a teacher for 40 years, but she and my grandfather had invested carefully. When he died in 1998, she inherited everything and made it grow. She left me $847,000, not my mother, not my father, me. The will was explicit. To my granddaughter, Catherine Mari Chen, for her intelligence, her independence, and her good sense with money. My mother had 3 siblings. They each got $200,000. Various charities got another $300,000. I got the rest, including Grandma's house in Ballard, which she'd already signed over to me 2 years before she died to avoid estate taxes. Grandma Helen didn't do anything halfway. Here's what you need to understand about my family. My parents divorced when I was 19. Dad remarried when I was 22. His new wife, Patricia, came as a package deal with Chelsea. Chelsea was beautiful in that way that makes people automatically trust her. Blonde, blue-eyed, with a smile that could sell toothpaste. She worked in marketing for a tech startup, married a lawyer named Derek 3 years ago, and had twin boys 14 months ago. She posted about them constantly on Instagram. #blessedmom, #twinmagic, #mywholeheart. I had nothing against Chelsea initially. She was fine, pleasant. We weren't close, but we were civil at family dinners. She called me sis, and I tolerated it. Then, 7 months ago, things started getting weird. It began with my mother calling me on a Tuesday night. Mum and I talked maybe once a week, usually Sundays. A Tuesday call was unusual. "Catherine, sweetheart, how are you?" "Fine, Mum. What's up?" "I was just thinking, have you thought about what you're going to do with Grandma's house? I mean, it's been sitting empty for over a year now." The house hadn't been empty. I'd been renting it to a young couple for $2,800 a month, slightly below market rate because they were teachers and reminded me of Grandma Helen. "It's rented, Mom. I told you that." "Oh, right." A pause. "Well, I was thinking, Chelsea and Derek are looking for a bigger place. Those twins need room to run around, you know? And that house has that big backyard." My hand tightened on my phone. "The house is rented, and even if it wasn't, I'm not selling it." "I didn't say sell it, honey. maybe just let them rent it? Family rates? Mum, I charge below market already, and Chelsea and Derek live in a very nice condo in Bellevue. Yes, but, Mum, I need to go, I have a work call. I didn't, but I needed to get off that phone before I said something I'd regret. That should have been my first red flag, my mother asking about Grandma's house when she'd never shown interest before. But I filed it away and moved on. 3 weeks later, Dad called. Dad never called. We texted occasionally, saw each other at holidays, but phone calls? Not his style. Katie Bear, he said, using the nickname he hadn't used since I was 12. How's my favourite daughter? I'm his only daughter. I'm good, Dad. What's going on? Nothing. Just wanted to catch up. See how you're doing. We made small talk for 5 minutes. Then, Patricia mentioned that you've been doing really well with your investments. Grandma Helen taught you well, huh? I guess so. That inheritance must have really set you up. Smart of you to invest it instead of spending it. I hadn't told anyone exactly what I'd done with the money. I'd put $600,000 into a diversified portfolio, kept $200,000 liquid for emergencies, and used the house rental income for regular expenses. But I definitely hadn't discussed my investment strategy with Patricia. Dad, how does Patricia know about my investments? Oh, family talk. Chelsea might have mentioned something about you being really financially savvy. Chelsea, who I rarely spoke to, who definitely didn't know the details of my financial situation. Right, I said slowly. Well, I should go. Before you hang up, Dad interrupted, I wanted to ask you something. Chelsea and Derek are looking at investment properties. Derek's practice is doing really well, but they want to diversify. I thought, maybe you could give them some advice. You're so good at this stuff. Sure, Dad. Have Chelsea email me. She never did. But 2 weeks after that, I got a call from my bank's investment advisor, Marcus, who I'd been working with for 3 years. Catherine, I wanted to give you a heads up. Someone called yesterday asking about your account. My stomach dropped. Who? She said she was your stepsister. Chelsea Morrison. She said you'd asked her to check on some details because you were travelling. I wasn't travelling. I was sitting in my apartment eating leftover pad thai. What did you tell her? Nothing. I said I'd need written authorization from you, and she hung up. Marcus, if anyone calls about my account again, anyone, don't give them any information. I don't care what they say. Understood. I'll put a note on your file. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind running through the conversations. Mum asking about the house, Dad asking about investments, Chelsea trying to access my bank information. This wasn't random. This was coordinated. I'm not a paranoid person. I'm analytical. So I did what I do best. I gathered data. I started with social media. Chelsea's Instagram was public. She had 4,800 followers and posted daily. I scrolled back 6 months. Most of it was standard mommy blogger content. The twins, Derek in his suit, date nights, #grateful posts. But then I noticed something. 3 months ago, she'd posted a photo of a house, a beautiful craftsman with a big porch and a yard. The caption, dreaming of our forever home #goals #one day. I reverse image searched the photo. It was my grandmother's house. My house. I screenshotted it. 2 months ago, another post. Sometimes you have to take risks for your family's future. Big changes coming. #faith over fear. 1 month ago, family is everything. So grateful for our amazing support system. The comments on that post included one from my mother. We love you so much, sweetheart. You deserve everything good. I sat back, my laptop screen glowing in the dark apartment. They were planning something. Something that involved my grandmother's money and my house. I needed more information. I called my Aunt Diane, my mother's younger sister. She lived in Portland and had always been the straight shooter of the family. Katie, how are you, honey? I'm good, Aunt Di. Quick question, have you talked to Mum lately? Last week? Why? Did she mention anything about Chelsea or Grandma's inheritance? Silence, then. What did you hear? Nothing specific, just A feeling. What do you know? Diane sighed. Your mother called me 6 weeks ago. She wanted to know if I'd support a family meeting to discuss your inheritance. My blood went cold. Discuss how? She said Chelsea was going through financial difficulties, that Derek's law practice had some setbacks, is that they needed help with the twins' childcare, medical expenses, that kind of thing. She thought the family should come together to support them. Aunt Di, Derek's practice is doing great. I looked it up. He made partner last year. I know I told your mother I wasn't interested in discussing your inheritance. It's yours. Grandma Helen was very clear about that. What did she say? She got defensive, said I didn't understand the situation, that you had more than you needed and Chelsea had 2 babies to think about. I told her that wasn't my problem or yours, and she hasn't called me since. After we hung up, I sat very still. My mother was recruiting family members to pressure me. This wasn't just casual conversation, this was a campaign. I needed documentation, evidence. Because I had a feeling I knew where this was going. And when it happened, I needed to be ready. I started keeping records. Every phone call, every text message, every conversation. I created a folder on my laptop. Family Matters. I backed it up to 3 different cloud services. 2 weeks later, my mother invited me to Sunday dinner. Just family, she said. We haven't all been together in a while. I knew what this was, but I went anyway, my phone recording in my pocket. The entire family was there. Mum, Dad, Patricia, Chelsea, Derek, even Derek's parents, whom I'd met exactly twice. We ate pot roast. We made small talk. Then, over coffee and pie, my mother cleared her throat. Catherine, honey, we wanted to talk to you about something. Here it comes, I thought. Chelsea and Derek have been going through a difficult time financially. I looked at Chelsea. She had tears in her eyes. Actual tears. The twins have some medical issues, Chelsea said, her voice breaking. Nothing serious, but the specialists, the therapy, it's adding up. Derek's practice is doing okay, but we're stretched thin. Derek took her hand. We hate to ask, he said, but we're family, and family helps family. I waited. We know Grandma Helen left you a substantial inheritance, my mother continued, and you've been so smart with it. But Chelsea needs help now. We were thinking, maybe you could loan them some money just to get through this rough patch. How much? I asked quietly. $200,000, Derek said. We'd pay you back with interest. I'd draw up a formal loan agreement. I looked around the table. Everyone was watching me, waiting. And if I say no? My mother's face fell. Catherine, she's your sister. Stepsister. Family is family. Blood doesn't matter. We're asking you to help. I took a sip of coffee. It had gone cold. What medical issues do the twins have? Chelsea blinked. What? You said they have medical issues requiring specialists and therapy. What are they? She glanced at Derek. Developmental delays. Speech therapy, occupational therapy. Which specialists are you seeing? I don't remember their names off the top of my head. How much does the therapy cost per session? Catherine, my father said sharply, this isn't an interrogation. I'm just trying to understand the situation, Dad. Chelsea was crying harder now. I can't believe you're being so cold about this. My babies need help. Patricia put her arm around Chelsea. Catherine, I know you're independent and you've worked hard for what you have. But sometimes we need to think about others. I stood up. I need to think about this. It's a lot of money. Of course, honey, my mother said quickly. Take your time, but not too much time. They really are struggling. I drove home in silence, the recording safely stored on my phone. The next day, I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I hired a private investigator. His name was James Chen, no relation, and he came recommended by a colleague who'd used him in a divorce case. I met him at a coffee shop near my office. I need you to look into someone, I told him. My stepsister and her husband, financial records, social media, any public information you can find. What am I looking for? Proof that they're lying about being in financial trouble. He didn't ask why, just quoted me his rates, $150 an hour plus expenses, and got to work. 3 days later, he sent me a 30-page report. Derek Morrison's law practice had billed $1.8 million last year. His personal income was $380,000. Chelsea's marketing salary was $95,000. Their condo in Bellevue was paid off. Derek's parents had bought it for them as a wedding gift. The twins, Ethan and Evan, were healthy. No specialists, no therapy. Regular paediatrician checkups showing normal development. Chelsea and Derek had $340,000 in savings. They drove a Tesla and a BMW. They'd taken 3 vacations in the past year: Hawaii, Europe, and a ski trip to Aspen. They were not struggling. But here's what they did have: $180,000 in debt from a failed real estate investment. Derek had tried to flip a house in Tacoma 2 years ago, right before the market shifted. The property was now worth less than he'd paid, and he was hemorrhaging money on the mortgage and upkeep. They needed cash, and they'd decided I should provide it. I didn't respond to my mother's follow-up calls. I didn't text Chelsea back when she sent me crying emoji messages about family support. Instead, I called my lawyer. Her name was Miriam Park, and she'd helped me with Grandma Helen's estate. She was 5, 2 unsure, had silver hair, and wore reading glasses on a chain. She looked like someone's sweet grandmother. She was a shark in a cardigan. "They're going to escalate," Miriam said after I'd explained everything. "You know that, right?" "I know." "They'll guilt you, manipulate you, maybe even threaten you. Are you prepared for that?" "I'm documenting everything." "Good. Keep doing that. And Catherine, don't give them a penny. Not a loan, not a gift. Once you open that door, you'll never close it." She was right. 2 weeks later, my mother showed up at my office. I was in a meeting when my assistant interrupted. "Catherine, your mother is in the lobby. She says it's urgent." I excused myself and went down. Mum was sitting on the leather couch, her purse clutched in her lap, her eyes red. "Mum, what's wrong?" "It's Chelsea," she whispered. "She tried to hurt herself last night." Everything stopped. "What?" "The stress, the money problems, the twins. She couldn't take it anymore. Derek found her in the bathroom. She's okay, but Catherine, she needs help. We need to help her." I felt sick. Actually, physically sick. "Is she in the hospital?" "She's home. She's resting. But she needs to know we're there for her. That you're there for her." "Mum, oh, I'll come see her." "She needs the money, Catherine. That's what will help her. Knowing she can take care of her babies." And there it was. The manipulation, the leverage. I took a breath. "Mum, let me talk to Derek. Get the details about what they need." "Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you." She hugged me and I let her, and I felt like I was going to vomit. Back at my desk, I called James Chen. "I need you to find out if Chelsea Morrison was hospitalised last night." 2 hours later, no hospital admits matching her name or description. I checked every ER within 50 miles. I called Derek's office. His secretary said he was in court all day. I checked his Instagram story, posted 4 hours ago, a photo of his latte with the caption, "Crushing it in court today." Chelsea's Instagram story showed her at a Mummy and Me yoga class. Neither of them looked like they'd had a traumatic night. I forwarded everything to Miriam Park. "This is witness intimidation," she said. "Emotional manipulation to force a financial transaction. Document it, but don't engage." I didn't plan to. Before we continue, let me tell you something important. I loved my mother. Past tense feels wrong, but it's accurate now. I loved who I thought she was. The woman who'd read to me every night as a kid, who'd helped me with homework, who'd been so proud when I graduated college. But that woman was gone, replaced by someone who'd lie about a suicide attempt to steal from her own daughter. That realization hurt more than anything else. The campaign intensified. My father called. "Katie Bear, I know Mum can be dramatic, but Chelsea really is struggling. Can't you at least give them $50,000? Is just to help with immediate expenses?" Patricia sent me a long email about family values and stepping up when others need you. Even Derek reached out. Catherine, I know we're not close, but I'm asking you, man to man, to help my wife. She's falling apart. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I went to see my grandmother's lawyer. Not Miriam, but the attorney who drafted Grandma Helen's will. His name was Robert Chang, and he was 73 years old and terrifying. They're pressuring you to give up your inheritance, he said after I'd explained. Yes. And you think it's going to escalate to them asking you to sign it over entirely? Yes. He leaned back in his chair. Helen knew this might happen. That's why she structured the will the way she did. But if they convince you to sign a voluntary transfer, there's nothing I can do to stop it. What if I don't sign voluntarily? Then the money stays yours. The will is airtight, I made sure of that. Mr. Chang, what would my grandmother want me to do? He smiled, and for a moment, I could see why Grandma Helen had trusted him for 40 years. She'd want you to tell them to go to hell, but she'd want you to do it smart. 3 months after that first Sunday dinner, my mother called with a new proposal. Catherine, I've been thinking, this back and forth isn't good for anyone. Why don't we all sit down with a mediator, a neutral third party who can help us work this out? Mum, there's nothing to work out. It's my inheritance. Honey, please, just one meeting for family harmony. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The mediator was a friend of Patricia's, a life coach named Brenda who wore too much perfume and talked about abundance mindset. We met in a conference room at a Holiday Inn. Everyone was there. Mum, Dad, Patricia, Chelsea, Derek, and Brenda. Brenda started with a speech about family and generosity and gratitude. Then she turned to me. Catherine, I understand you've been blessed with a significant inheritance. How does that make you feel? Grateful to my grandmother. And when you think about sharing that blessing with your family members who are struggling, what comes up for you? They're not struggling. Chelsea started crying. Again. You don't know what it's like. You don't have kids. You don't understand the pressure. Chelsea, your household income is $475,000 a year. You own your condo outright. Your children are healthy. You're not struggling. You made a bad investment and you want me to bail you out. The room went silent. Derek's face turned red. Who the hell do you think you are? I'm the person who inherited money that you want. You're a selfish bitch is what you are. My father stood up. Derek, that's enough. No, it's not enough, Derek was shouting now. She's sitting on almost $1 million while my wife is having panic attacks, while our kids might not have a stable home. Your kids have a very stable home, I said calmly. A paid-off condo in Bellevue worth $620,000. Chelsea's tears stopped. How do you know that? Public records. Patricia stood up. Catherine, this is incredibly disrespectful. We're trying to have a civil conversation. You're trying to pressure me into giving away my inheritance. This isn't mediation. It's an ambush. I stood up, gathered my things, and walked out. Behind me, I heard my mother. Catherine, please. I didn't look back. That night, Miriam Park called. I heard about the meeting. Are you okay? I'm fine. Good. Because I think they're going to make one final push. And it's going to be aggressive. She was right. 2 weeks later, I got a certified letter from Derek's law firm. Not from Derek personally, from his partner, a senior attorney named Richard Voss. The letter stated that Chelsea was experiencing severe emotional distress due to my refusal to provide reasonable family support. It mentioned the implied promise my grandmother had made to take care of all her grandchildren equally, including Chelsea, on whom she had embraced as family. It suggested that if I didn't agree to a fair distribution of assets, they might pursue legal action for intentional infliction of emotional distress and violation of familial duties. It was bullshit. Complete, total, legal bullshit. But it was also terrifying. I took the letter to Miriam. She read it and started laughing. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. There's no such thing as violation of familial duties in Washington state. And good luck proving intentional infliction of emotional distress when you've been the one harassing her for months. Can they actually sue me? They can file a lawsuit. Anyone can file anything. But it'll get dismissed immediately, and they might get sanctioned for filing a frivolous claim. So, what do? You call their bluff. I had Miriam send a response letter. It was 3 pages long and essentially said, "Try it. We dare you." They didn't. But 3 days later, my mother showed up at my apartment. It was 11 p.m. on a Thursday. I was in my pajamas, watching Netflix and eating ice cream from the container. The buzzer rang. "Catherine, it's Mum. Please let me up." I almost didn't, but I pressed the button and waited by my door. She looked terrible. Her hair was messy, her eyes were swollen, and she was wringing her hands like Lady Macbeth. "Mum, it's 11 at night. I need you to sign something." She pulled out papers from her purse. "It's just a temporary agreement. You transfer half of the inheritance to Chelsea. Just half. And everyone can calm down and stop fighting." I looked at the papers. They were notarized forms transferring $423,500, exactly half of my inheritance, to Chelsea Morrison. "Mum, are you out of your mind?" "Please, Catherine. She's threatening to keep the twins away from me if you don't do this. She says I'm choosing you over her babies. I can't lose my grandsons." There it was. Chelsea was using her own children as leverage against my mother. "Mum, go home." "Catherine, Mum, go home. You're being manipulated. Chelsea is not going to keep the twins from you. And even if she tries, you have grandparents' rights in Washington state. You can file for visitation." "I can't fight her. She'll make it so ugly. She's making it ugly now. She's using you to get to me." My mother stared at me, tears streaming down her face. "When did you become so cold?" That broke something in me. I became cold when my own mother tried to steal from me. When you showed up with papers at 11 p.m, demanding I sign away half of what Grandma left me. When you lied about Chelsea trying to hurt herself. When you chose your stepdaughter over your actual daughter. That's not fair. Get out, Mum. Catherine, get out of my apartment now. She left. I locked the door behind her, and then I sat on my floor and cried for the first time in 6 months. I thought that was the end. I really did. But 2 weeks later, I got a call from my bank. Not Marcus this time, his supervisor. "Miss Chen, we've received some concerning information about your account." My heart stopped. What kind of information?" "A woman claiming to be your mother came in yesterday with what she said was a power of attorney. She attempted to withdraw $400,000 from your account." Jesus Christ. Please tell me you didn't let her. "Of course not. We asked for verification, and the power of attorney was dated from when you were 17. It's no longer valid. We denied the transaction and asked her to leave. I felt dizzy. She tried to steal from me. We flagged your account for additional security. We'd recommend you file a police report." I did. That afternoon, I went to the Seattle Police Department and filed a report for attempted financial fraud. The detective who took my statement was a woman in her 50s named Detective Ramirez. She listened to everything, looked at all my documentation, and sighed. "This is tough because it's family. The DA might not prosecute." I understand. But having a police report on file will help if they try anything else. "And Miss Chen? Change all your passwords, set up 2-factor authentication on everything, and consider freezing your credit." I did all of that, and then I waited. The call came from an unexpected source. "Derek, Catherine, we need to talk." "I don't think we do. Please, in person, just you and me, no parents, no Chelsea, no lawyers." Against every instinct, I agreed. We met at a Starbucks halfway between our neighborhoods. Derek looked exhausted. "Good. I'm going to be straight with you," he said. "This has gotten out of control." "You think?" "Chelsea she's not handling this well. The pressure from her mom, your mom, the whole family situation. She's convinced herself that you owe her this money." "I don't owe her anything." I know, I've tried to tell her that, but she won't listen. She thinks because your grandmother was nice to her at a couple of family dinners that she's entitled to the same inheritance you got. That's insane. I know, but Catherine, I need you to understand something. He leaned forward. If you don't give her something, anything, she's going to destroy your relationship with your parents. She's very good at manipulation. She'll make sure they never speak to you again. Derek, are you threatening me? I'm warning you, as someone who has to live with her. I stared at him. What happened to your marriage? He laughed bitterly. I made the mistake of marrying someone I didn't really know. Someone who's very good at presenting one face to the world and being someone completely different at home. Then leave her. I have kids. I can't. So instead, you're helping her try to steal from me. I'm trying to minimize the damage. I stood up. Tell Chelsea that if she contacts me or my parents again about money, I'm filing for a restraining order. And, Derek, get a better lawyer, because the threat letter your firm sent me was the dumbest thing I've ever read. I left him sitting there with his overpriced latte. For 3 weeks, there was silence. Then, my father called. It was the first time we'd spoken since the Holiday Inn meeting. Katie, I need to tell you something. What? Your mother and I are getting divorced again. I sat down heavily. What? We've been fighting constantly about this whole situation with Chelsea and the money. I've been trying to stay neutral, but Patricia keeps pushing, and your mum keeps defending you, and it's too much. We're done. Dad, I'm sorry. Don't be. This is on us. But Katie, I want to apologise for everything, for not standing up for you, for letting Patricia and Chelsea manipulate me into pressuring you. You were right about all of it. I started crying. Dad, your grandmother left you that money because you earned it, because you were there for her, because you're smart and responsible and everything she wanted you to be. I should have protected that, and I didn't. I'm sorry. I forgive you. I don't deserve it, but thank you. We talked for an hour. Really talked, for the first time in years. When we hung up, and I felt lighter than I had in months. 6 months later, I got a call from Patricia. Catherine, we need to meet. Why? Chelsea and Derek are getting divorced. She needs help with legal fees. I laughed. Actually, laughed. Are you serious right now? This is your fault. If you'd just helped them when they asked, their marriage wouldn't have fallen apart from the financial stress. I hung up. She called back. I blocked her number. She emailed. I sent it to spam. She showed up at my office. Security escorted her out. Now, about that notary scene at the beginning of this story. It didn't happen the way you think. Yes, I sat in that office and watched papers get signed. But the papers weren't transferring my inheritance to Chelsea. They were transferring ownership of Grandma Helen's house, which I'd sold for $780,000, into a trust. A trust that would benefit my future children. A trust that my mother and father co-signed as trustees. Chelsea wasn't there. Patricia wasn't there. Just me, Mum, Dad, and the notary. My parents' second divorce had been quick and quiet. Mum got the house. Patricia got nothing because there was a prenup. And my father finally had chosen his actual daughter. Mum had called me 2 weeks earlier crying. Real tears this time, not manipulative ones. I'm so sorry, Catherine, for everything. I let her convince me that you were being selfish, that family meant automatic access to your money. I was wrong. Your grandmother trusted you with that inheritance, and I should have trusted her judgment. We'd had a long conversation, a hard one, about boundaries and trust and what family really means. As she'd asked if there was any way to rebuild our relationship, I said yes, but slowly, with proof, not promises. The trust was proof. As for Chelsea, I heard through the family grapevine that Derek got primary custody of the twins. Chelsea got supervised visitation and a settlement that included the Bellevue condo and half of Derek's retirement accounts. She moved to California. I heard she's engaged to a tech CEO. Good luck to him. Patricia is still angry. She sends me cards on my birthday. Passive-aggressive ones about the importance of family. I recycle them without reading past the first line. My father and I have dinner every other Sunday. We're working on it. Mum and I talk on the phone once a week. She's in therapy. She says it's helping. I'm not in contact with Chelsea, and I never will be. So here's what I learned from all of this. Being family doesn't entitle anyone to your money, your time, or your peace of mind. Documentation is everything. Every text message, every email, every phone call I recorded became evidence of a pattern of manipulation. Patience is a weapon. I could have blown up at that first Sunday dinner, but instead, I gathered information, built my case, and waited for them to show their true intentions. Some relationships can't be salvaged, and that's okay. My grandmother left me $847,000 not because she wanted to create family drama, but because she trusted me to handle it wisely. She knew I wouldn't blow it on cars or vacations. She knew I'd invest it, protect it, and use it to build a secure future. She was right. The money is still there, most of it anyway, growing, waiting for the life I'm building. The house is sold, but the trust ensures that my future children will benefit from Grandma Helen's wisdom and generosity. And me? I'm still Catherine Chen, still living in Seattle, still working as a financial analyst. But now I know exactly who I can trust, and more importantly, I know exactly who I can't. Sometimes people ask me if I have any regrets, if I wish I'd just given them some money to make the whole thing go away. The answer is no, because giving them money wouldn't have been about generosity. It would have been about control. They wanted to prove that they could manipulate me, that family guilt was stronger than my own judgment, that I'd cave under enough pressure. I didn't cave, and that's worth more than $847,000 could ever be. My grandmother used to say that the best investment you can make is in your own backbone. I finally understand what she meant.